Plans for a bilateral meeting between Russian President Vladimir Putin and Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky are now underway, with many options being discussed, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt said Tuesday. She repeatedly declined to answer questions about specific locations. Both leaders have expressed a willingness to sit down with each other, and so our national security team will help both countries do that, Leavitt told reporters at the White House briefing. Pressed by CNN's Kristen Holmes on how the plans shifted, from a possible trilateral to a bilateral first, Leavitt said that it was an idea that evolved in the course of the president's conversations with both President Putin, President Zelensky, and European leaders, who, she said, all agree that this is a great first step. Trump, she added, is agreeable to the idea of a bilateral meeting without a U.S. presence. Ultimately, the president has always said that there are areas of disagreement in this war that will have to be discussed and decided upon by these two countries. And so he wants these two countries to engage in direct diplomacy, she said. Leavitt said Tuesday that Russian President Vladimir Putin has promised to hold talks with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky. Leavitt was asked by a reporter if Putin promised to have a direct meeting in the coming weeks. She replied, "He has, and I just answered that question for you," during a news briefing. Earlier, in response to a question from CNN's Kristen Holmes, Leavitt had been far less definitive on whether Putin had agreed to the meeting. She said, "I can assure you that the United States government and the Trump administration is working with both Russia and Ukraine to make that bilateral happen." Leavitt reiterated today that President Donald Trump has definitively ruled out sending U.S. troops to Ukraine as part of any security guarantees to bring about a peace deal with Russia. But she did not rule out other military options, including in the skies. She explained, "It is an option and a possibility. I won't certainly rule out anything as far as military options that the president has at his disposal. I'll let him do that. I can tell you he's definitively ruled out boots on the ground," Leavitt said at the White House press briefing, when asked about the U.S. providing air options as a form of security for Ukraine. Trump himself said earlier today he could provide his personal assurance that he would not put U.S. troops on the ground in Ukraine to enforce a peace deal with Russia. Leavitt also said Trump directed his national security team to coordinate with Europe and to continue to discuss the matter with Ukraine and Russia.